really, your first connection substantially with reality is hearing from an agent, a divine agent.
Oh, I'm being grafted.
Taking the mind as the best advisor of yourself, not a good idea.
It is only natural that you think that you are somehow being conned, but think a little harder, and you'll realize that this is not a trick.
To do an honest assessment of yourself and say, yes, I'm, in a sense, hopeless, helpless.
You don't have a lot of time. And in reality, you don't have a choice. Now, the most sensible thing to do would be to get a second opinion.
So we try to come under the influence of the revealed truth. We say, oh, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, above the senses is the mind. Okay, the mind is higher than the senses, and it's the seat of sense experience. Then he says, finer than the mind is intelligence. And you say, okay, now I understand. Intelligence, discriminating factor, because the mind has no discriminating ability. So we're told you need to infuse the intelligence with Dharma Buddhi, back to Sadhu, Shastra, Guru, Vaishnava. Finer than intelligence, he's saying, is what? That's the beginning of the Atma plane. That's where the self is located. So if you're viewing the self from the outside in and seeing yourself in terms of gender, nationality, age, all of these things, you're not having a proper glimpse of yourself and who you are and what is your potential.
What did I sign up for? Just know, if you start a job, then finish it.
The only way to get smarter is by playing a smarter opponent.
So have to come in connection with a proper agent who knows your identity, your reality potential, and can, under their guidance, you can engage in self-discovery, self-realization, self-actualization.
You've heard their voice for so long, you believe it to be you. You believe it to be your best friend.
They should believe their opponent to be their best friend.
Where's the best place an opponent should hide?
The very last place you would ever look.
It's all up here. Pretending to be you.
We have met the enemy, and the enemy is us. Which is the actual truth.
I've had enough of this shit. It's starting to do my head in. Tell me you've had enough.
Tells you what to do.
Look, that's enough.
And when to do it.
Tell him. I said that's enough! Eventually, when the opponent is challenged or questioned, it means the victim's investment and thus his intelligence is questioned. No one can accept that. Not even to themselves.
We are the enemy, the mind that we think is our friend.
And right now, he's telling you that he doesn't even exist. We just put you to war with the only enemy that ever existed. And you think he's your best friend.
That's why day one, what does Guru Maharaj say to Gurudev? Are you prepared to listen to me and not your mind? That's the first thing he says to them, because he knows if that's not at the basis of the relationship, it's going to be meaningless. He's not going to make progress. He's not going to go very far. It's going to be a show of servitude, submission, discipleship. But if you're going to follow me and resist the suggestions of your mind, then you're going to make progress. Thank God we're not our minds. What's that potential that is within us, aspiring servitors, is awakened. Bhaktya sanjatya bhaktya, in the presence, in the service and association of someone who has it. Guru Maharaj says it's true about many things. As intelligence can recognize intelligence, and so the association will, through association, similar tendencies will be awakened. within us. Because we have the potential. That's why Krishna, the devotees of Krishna know, the descent into this plane is really to give association. And then others hearing about the Shrotavyas, Kirtitavyas, cha, Smartavyas, Chejtatabhayam. Hearing about, chanting about, remembering. The pastimes must be there. They're not, we're riveted to story in this world. But we just have, William James called adventures of the intelligence. Mundane writers telling stories. And people find them variously useful or useless. But these stories, we're talking a good story, what captures the imagination. This more than captures the imagination. That is dhyan, real meditation. It's taking you into another world. Many of the modern people, like the first person shooter, the gamers, they'll say like, we want to take this to the level where you are the movie. But again, it's from the mind, the mundane mind. Whereas these pastimes, when heard properly, the guidance of an expert, will reach the state where someone is within the pastime. They have a part to play within the pastime. Live streaming Leela. Then you have either that hearing such things, it can awaken similar such things, or by service to such a Mahabhagavata, it can be awakened. As Guru said, you can bypass the second-class stage through seva. So a third-class devotee serving a first-class devotee can bypass the analytical middle stage and go directly to Mahabhagavata. Even in the mundane world, people sometimes unwittingly become accessories to crimes. They do something they picked up the phone, they answered the call, opened the door, they did something, and then they get, in the whirlpool of some sort of criminal activity. That's in a negative sense. Agyata Sukriti, and somehow people get wrapped up in the whirlpool of devotional activities. Can be in so many different ways. Unthinkable. Therefore, it's agyata. It doesn't need to be known other than in principle that it's possible. On some level, and here, it's really on some level, like even remote contact with a very powerful virus can infect someone. If a mundane substance has such power, that a microbe, a microscopic amount of some substance can enter your system and completely alter you, and bring you to the stage of mortality, then by parallel, some microscopic amount of spiritual substance can enter within you and take you to the immortal plane. That's a wonderful thing. Yadanucharita lila karna piyusha viput sakrida dana vidita danda dharma vinashta. Radharani in the Brahma Gita, she's saying, a drop of this hearing about Krishna has such powerful effect, will destroy your life. But it's a life that needs destroying. Dvandva vinashta. And that's a fact. Everyone who hears even a minuscule amount of Harikatha or something about Krishna becomes infected. And then the virus enters the system and expresses itself in time until it takes over the whole system. And rather than taking it die to live, finish with one, and the spiritual form begins to manifest. It's a dream, this whole world. So good dream, bad dream is a dream. There's nothing substantial there. So Guru Maharaj likes to remind us, like we might say, the moon, when the moon, and the rainy season, when the moon is covered by clouds. So you see an illumined cloud, but the moon is, what's illuminating the cloud is the moon behind it. The cloud has no illumination on its own. So what is the cloud? Mind, intelligence, ego. Just like that cloud that's covering the moon. They're covering this body, the senses, the body, mind, intelligence, and ego. These layers, they're like clouds covering the soul. It's the soul that's illuminating them. So when we look at somebody, they look like they're alive. Or they look like they're thinking. Or they're doing so many things. Actually, it's the soul who's the doer in the background. So, need to go first to the soul plane. Everything else is a covering, an acquired prejudice, a misreading. Only someone who is in pure Krishna consciousness can read the environment and environmental circumstances properly. Like an instrument. We need to be recalibrated. Sadhu, Shastra, Guru, Vaishnav, recalibrated. Then you can begin to read properly. And on the basis of proper readings, proceed. Without being recalibrated, all the readings are false. And we're making so many important decisions about doing this, not doing that, going this way, but the compass is off. The instrument is giving false readings. That's what ahankar does. Gives a false reading. Who I am, what is life, what are life circumstances, how I should proceed on the basis of that misconceived self and identity. Like the old Russian joke about the three crazy guys in the nut house talking to each other, and one says, God told me, and the other one goes, no, God told me just the opposite of that. And what? The third guy says, I never told either one of you either one of those things. He's crazier than the other two guys. That's what we're dealing with. People are either think God told them this, or I never said that. And really, that's what's going on. So first, locate the self, locate Atma first. That's the beginning. But just to try and recondition the mundane, that's not a spiritual project. These are all mundane things. So just to recondition mind, that's not Krishna consciousness. You won't get any, that's Prakriti Sahajyaism. That's their idea. Neuro-linguistic programming for the mind, the intelligence, and all you will get is simulated, superficial counterfeit reality. I knew by the time I was 14 or 15 that it was all lies. It was all nonsense. Plastic people. All superficial. The boast of heraldry, the pomp of power, all that beauty, all that wealth there gave, awaits like the inevitable hour, the paths of glory lead but to the grave. Or, as Frank Zappa said, you can have it, I don't need it, take your TV tube and eat it. It's all the same. I mean, you wake up one day and figure out you're being inundated with humanistic sloganeering, being stuffed down your soul, telling you to believe that we've moved away from the monarch conception. Now you're king. Right? Yeah. What kind of king you are? Now you're the king, you're the queen. People who swallow humanistic sloganeering hook, line, and sinker are ill-prepared to deal with mortal existence, which is the only type available here presently. The paths of glory lead but to the grave. It all ends up in the graveyard. Then what? Well, nobody knows. No, you don't know. And nobody you know knows. But that doesn't mean that nobody knows. Knowledge above mortality. Amnaya prahatatvam. If the infinite can make itself known to the finite, if you can accept that prospect, that in the realm of infinite possibility, the infinite can make itself known to the finite, then you put yourself in a position to appreciate the value of revealed truth. This is theism, basic theism 101. Then we can proceed from there. From time to time, Srila Guru Maharaj is reminding us, informing us, that the upper world, the spiritual world, the world of our guardians, of Krishna consciousness, that it is real and substantial. Because there is a tendency on our part, we're so riveted to the mundane and the mundane world, the temporary world. We think this is the substantial place because, it's made out of earth, earth, water, fire, things you can stand on, touch, feel, they have weight, breadth, dimension, etc. We think this is the real world. Then we hear about Krishna consciousness and we can think that's like a theoretical world. This is the real world we live in, and how much all of this is true, what we're hearing, how much it can be relied upon, we're doubtful. This is the plight of a neophyte devotee, to be honest and candid. We're hearing things, so we think that is imaginary. When the people hear about Puranic legends and stories, they think like, oh, you mean Hindu mythology. But they're very happy to embrace the mythology of Hollywood or of this, that, or the other, that they get all excited about. But anyway, story. We're told the, fiction. Some say, if you want to tell the truth, write fiction. Seems like some sort of an oxymoron. Right? But quote variously attributed to Picasso or any other is that, art is a lie that tells the truth. What it means in that statement is that if in the end you receive truth or become aware of the truth, embrace the concept of truth, the medium through which it came to you, whether that is objectively, historically accurate, is irrelevant. And again, this requires a new type of thinking, or more careful thought. Sometimes it occurs to me that the Western world generally tend to be the world of like rationalist, empiric thinkers. This is the hallmark of Western philosophy: rationalism, empiric observation, all of these sort of things. So I found it interesting that people with educated in the Western line of thought, how much they admire Bhagavad Gita. And years ago in ISKCON, to promote Bhagavad Gita, the book, they started searching for any quotes by people in the Western world who were appreciating it. They even made a poster showing, Emerson, Thoreau, Whitman, Schopenhauer, and others. And, quoting, one of the favorite quotes was from Thoreau at Walden Pond, where he's living in nature by himself for a couple of years to see what that would be like to live with no one. And he said, it's noteworthy. He says, in the morning, means every morning when he says, because in the morning, what do you do when you get up in the morning? You bathe. So he said, in the morning, I bathe my intellect and the stupendous and cosmogonal glory of the Bhagavad Gita. He's saying, as people get up in the morning, they take a bath. I get up in the morning and I bathe my intellect in the Bhagavad Gita. So it means Thoreau must have known something. Right? He gets some credit for this. And he said, in comparison with which our modern literature seems trivial and puny by comparison, what we've got. So that's one example. And there's so many others. But what I found interesting as a side point, that none of them question the method of delivery. The general name, one of the names given, we say, Shabda Brahma, spiritual sound. In other words, Amnaya, like in Bhaktivinoda's Dasmul, Amnaya Prahattatvam Harim Iha Paramam Sarvashaktim Rasabdim. So he starts with Amnai, revealed truth, means descending truth. It's coming from the upper world, descending into this world. When one of Guru Maharaj's relatives saw him becoming we're talking about relative obstruction, one of his uncles saw he's too much inclined towards Krishna consciousness and renunciation. He thought to put a damper on his theistic sentiments, and he said, do you know there are some stars, we are from science, they're so far away, their light has yet to reach the earth. So if there is a God, we're so insignificant again. Do you think he has any time for people like us? And Guru Maharaj's response to him was to recall the Upanishads, Ishopanishad, Tadejati, Tadnaijati, Tadure, Tarantike, Tarantarasya Sarvasya, Tadu Sarvasyasya Bahyataha. He's saying, yes, he's very far away, but it says he's also nearest and dearest. Is there anywhere where God is not? Andantarastam paramanu chayantarastam. So his uncle was frustrated. Whereas Guru Maharaj would sometimes say these arguments, how do they end? That man was silenced. He said, is there anywhere God is not? Whereas Bengalis tell Prabhupada, Swamiji, why we must go to the temple to worship? God is everywhere. Prabhupada said, so he's not in the temple? He's everywhere except the temple. That's interesting. God is everywhere, but not the temple. Krishna is living, growing, developing, dynamic, nitya navana vayamana, navayovana, navayovanam cha. Always newer, always fresher. That's what sometimes Guru Maharaj would say, Shama Sundar means eternally green, evergreen. Because we always say, no, Shama Sundar means, blue or dark. But Guru Maharaj said, Shama Sundar means evergreen. Krishna is evergreen. So it doesn't mean the thing like the green color, but evergreen, and just always, when we heard about the evergreen tree, we thought, oh, these some like are green and then they go brown, but these are always eternally green. They're forever green. They're evergreen. So Krishna, like that. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santak sadeva hridayeshu vilokayanti yang shama sundaram achinta guna swarupam govinda maripurusham tamaham vijayin. Achintya guna swarup. His swarup has achintya gunas, inconceivable qualities. And the jivas are his angsa.
Our grand guru, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, says the meaning of Om, that it means, in one translation, it means a big yes. Yes, what you are searching for exists. Your inner heart's desires will be satisfied with the Supreme Absolute Truth, which is fully existing, fully transcendental, eternal, and it is meant for all of us. It's universally our constitutional need. All our desires will be fulfilled. All our hankerings and hunger and want will be fulfilled there. And to have courage and to know that it is there and that it is far superior, far greater than this plane of existence. This is all we know at present. But if we're fortunate, we'll start to understand there's more. This is a speck of dust, this Earth planet. It's a tiny, tiny planet in an infinite creation. And we are spiritual beings. We have an eternal soul. And we have a home. There's a spiritual reality that's existing in all of its glory, that's really our birthright to be there.